During his time as The Bachelor on ABC's reality dating series, The Bachelor, Colton Underwood dated 30 women at the same time with the aim of eventually choosing one of them to be his wife. He was presented as a paragon of heterosexual masculinity, a former professional football player with big muscles towards whom the women on the show quickly expressed their intense attraction.
He's definitely hot on TV, but in person, so hot. I was just like, your face is so good.
But back in April, Colton appeared on Good Morning America to reveal to the world,
I'm gay.
The Bachelor star, Colton Underwood, finally admitting to the world, and more importantly to himself, the truth about his sexuality.
Following that interview, people have increasingly been saying, isn't it time for a gay season of The Bachelor? Isn't that what America needs? Only a gay bachelor can heal our divided nation. But look, as much as I might personally enjoy watching some gay bachelor garbage, I'm here to tell you that the existing straight version of The Bachelor is already a bigger challenge to heteronormative patriarchy than a gay bachelor could ever be. This video is brought to you by ABC. The Bachelor franchise has really been struggling lately. The last 2 seasons were super boring. The host just left the show because of some racially insensitive comments. So the cool, fun, sexy network executives at ABC were like, how can we make the show appeal to a young, hip audience? Maybe we could do a queer season? No, that might alienate our conservative viewers. How about we find some gay Gen Z YouTuber and have him say the show is like a transgressive deconstruction of society or something? Making a video about The Bachelor. Great. I said I was gonna make more algorithm-friendly content. Little did you know how quickly I would fall. So Colton's coming out interview made headlines. That guy who's best known for dating 30 women, turns out he's not into women. Love that. He now has an upcoming Netflix series. He's all set to be the next gay role model. He also stalked his ex-girlfriend and put a tracking device on her car, so maybe not the best role model, but we'll get to that later. For now, I want to take a look back at Colton's season on The Bachelor in order to get a better sense of the show's sophisticated social commentary. Virgin alert! Virgin alert! The first thing you need to know going into Colton's season 23, is that Colton is a virgin. And this is very interesting. Colton's virginity is referenced incessantly. The poster for the season recreated the poster for the 40-year-old virgin. There are 27 distinct references to his virginity in just the first episode.
Will Colton find the love of his life? Will he lose his virginity along the way?
It would be a good experience to clean Colton's teeth. With Colton, that's as close as you can get.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I hear you're a virgin.
This is so weird because you're so attractive.
Sex is a big deal, so Colton's the Bachelor and that he's a virgin is super appealing to me. I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. Like, this is so amazing. But then I'm like, how?
How could a hot, sexy man like Colton possibly be a virgin? It must have been so difficult for him to be a virgin. I could never be a virgin. Never in my life have I ever been a virgin. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. It's actually extremely easy to be a virgin. No skill required. The bizarre level of attention to Colton's virginity shows that even the tiniest little possible infractions against gender norms on The Bachelor become an extremely big deal.
How much of the negativity and he's not ready do you think has to do with your virginity?
That's sort of the stigma around being a virgin is, oh, he's not romantic.
Right.
Oh, he's not going to be a good bachelor.
He's not a man.
Yeah. That got thrown at me this year.
Wow, so brave of him to share his truth. Fight the stigma, Colton. Embrace your real, authentic, virginal self. Colton's virginity is understood as a threat to his masculinity. So the show works to correct for this by demonstrating that Colton is a real, masculine muscle man. We get constant cutaways to him shirtless in the shower with his muscles. Okay, we get it. And it's repeatedly emphasized that his virginity is the result of choice and discipline.
I think it's a big deal that he's done it, and as good looking as he is, and being able to, I mean, that shows a lot of self-control, so. As a husband, he'll probably be able to.
I respect him more for it.
That language of control reframes Colton's virginity as being about him exercising his masculine agency. He is, of course, horny as hell for women, but he's enough of a man to control his impulses. This framing is striking because it's not how Colton himself talks about his virginity. He's not practicing abstinence or waiting for marriage. It's just sort of never happened.
Why are you a virgin?
My virginity is almost one of those things I look at and I'm like, I accidentally ended up like this. It's just a bunch of little things happen throughout my life where it just didn't happen.
I mean, that shows a lot of self-control, so.
This is in contrast to how the show presents one of the women on the season, Heather, who has never kissed anyone, which is of course the only thing the show will let her talk about.
Hey, I'm Heather. I've never kissed anyone. I have never kissed anyone.
I'm a virgin, but also have never kissed anyone before.
Colton was so gracious when I told him that I haven't kissed anyone before.
That's how she describes her kissing situation. I've never kissed anyone, but in her lower third name bar, where most contestants have their occupations, but Heather has this far more significant part of her identity, the wording is changed to never been kissed. For Colton, his virginity is an active decision. For Heather, her kiss virginity is passive. She's never been kissed by a man. That positioning of men as active and women as passive is... I mean, it's pretty much the whole premise of the show. The Bachelor is choosing between these women. He makes all the decisions about who to go on dates with, who stays, who leaves. The women are just passively subject to those decisions as they dream of the opportunity to win the ultimate prize, the only thing any woman wants, a husband. This seems like an appropriate time to mention, for those unfamiliar with the discourse around The Bachelor, that the show is widely considered to be, how should I put this? A little bit, just a tiny little bit, like a teeny bit problematic. It reinforces outdated gender dynamics. It's aggressively heterosexual. It's historically cast almost exclusively conventionally attractive white people. And look, yes, okay, that's all true, but what those critiques fail to recognize is that it's so romantic. For Colton, The Bachelor's traditional normative model of relationships is exactly why he went on the show. In his Good Morning America interview, he describes it as a kind of attempted conversion therapy. He grew up in a conservative Catholic household and remembers praying to God to make him straight. So, when he was cast on The Bachelor, he felt that his prayers had finally been answered.
Finally, you're letting me be straight. Finally, you're giving me a wife, a fiance, and then I'm gonna have the kids, and then I'm gonna have the house, and then I'm gonna have all this.
Those dreams of domesticity are totally in line with the general perception of The Bachelor as the very embodiment of heteronormativity. Colton is pursuing the traditional upper middle class model of relationships in which you date 30 women simultaneously on TV and eliminate them over the course of 10 weeks. Like God intended. Nothing says the sanctity of marriage like being pressured into a proposal by reality TV producers. There is something weird, right, about the fact that The Bachelor is understood as like a reinforcement of traditional relationship norms, when it also just has like a completely batshit premise. The Bachelor is the polyamorous representation we need. But I mean, somehow, despite it all, the show does still valorize a traditional narrow model of straight monogamous domesticity. Throughout the course of a season, yes, there will be gossip, scandal, jealousy, passion, lust, but it's all in service of settling down and starting a family. In the first episode of Colton's season, this is quickly emphasized by showing some Bachelor babies, children of past couples from the Bachelor franchise, shown alongside their loving parents. As the next Bachelor, this is the life that Colton is promised.
Colton, this is your future, man.
He just needs to trust the process and it'll work out for him. The archetype of a Bachelor viewer buys into all this. They buy into the romance. They, like Colton, want to see a happy, beautiful love story. That's the image we're shown of Bachelor fans in the show itself. They fawn over the lead.
I'm excited for him, and I think he's hot.
They root for him to find love.
Everyone deserves to find love.
But I don't know, it's just difficult for me to buy the premise that the primary appeal of The Bachelor is its traditional romantic fantasy, when almost all of the relationships fail. Like at the time of Colton's season, the 23rd season, only one of the past couples was still together. Even Ari, who was shown in that Bachelor Baby segment presenting the show as a success story, is married to a different woman than he selected through the show's extremely trustworthy process. So why do we keep watching? If we aren't seeing the heartwarming love stories we're searching for, what's the appeal of the show? I mean, it's the drama, right? We're living for the drama. Increasingly, The Bachelor's relationship failures have been a significant part of the show, often in ways that draw attention to the show's more questionable elements. Like weeks after Ari proposed to his season's winner Becca, he called the camera crew back to surprise her by breaking up with her on TV and not letting her escape the cameras as she sobbed profusely. In the season finale for the first Black Bachelor, Matt James, he broke up with the winner Rachel Kirkconnell after pictures emerged of her at an antebellum plantation-themed party celebrating the Old South. After those pictures emerged, the host Chris Harrison went on a podcast with Rachel Lindsay, who was the first Black Bachelorette, and was like,
is it a good look in 2018 or is it not a good look in 2021?
It's
because
not
there's a big
good
difference.
look ever, because she's celebrating
Well,
the Old South.
Was that lens available and were we all looking through it in 2018?
through the lens of today, yeah, it seems bad. But through the lens of Thursday last week?
I don't know how old she would have been back then.
Matt and Rachel are actually back together now, so love is real, I guess. Hashtag love wins. And then there's Colton's season.
I'm done.
Colton!
Oh my God!
What just happened?
Colton!
Colton!
He is gone, and he is nowhere to be found.
That promo was repeated over and over every episode throughout the season. Fans were speculating on what would lead to the fence jump. They were excited for the drama. It was the most anticipated moment of the season. And obviously, this was not a moment of romantic joy. It was a moment of Colton giving up on the show's promise. And this was the main promotional material for the season. The season was not marketed on its romantic love story. It was marketed on that love story's dramatic destruction. That's the motivation to watch. It's less the romance than the heartbreak. On Mondays, we drink wine and watch women cry in limos. Because of that, I think The Bachelor offers a unique place in which to witness the failures of straight culture. Heterosexual culture, the hetero lifestyle. Okay, so Colton's season 23. Let's just do like SparkNote summary. Episode 1. Colton is at the Bachelor Mansion. The women roll up in a limo. The contestants always try to make memorable first impressions by showing up to the mansion prepared with a gimmick.
The accent is Australian.
I'm not really Australian, but you have to do what you can to stand out.
And like half of them in Colton's season involve referencing his virginity immediately upon meeting him.
This is for you.
Oh, thank you.
Now that I've popped your cherry, we don't need to talk about virginity.
You're gonna think of where the card is. Don't look. Can I take that?
Yes.
I don't know what card you were thinking, but I think I just took your B card.
I have not dated a virgin since I was 12.
This is normal. This is how humans interact. There's also someone in a sloth costume.
It's a sloth.
Hi.
How's it going?
Colton, I heard you.
Okay, I'm not gonna play the whole clip. It lasts like 5 minutes. But the point is, she heard Colton likes to take things slow. Because he's a virgin. Colton starts hanging out with the women, the sloth is in a tree. Eventually, Colton gives the first impression rose to Hannah G. I always love when the job descriptions in these shows just say like, content creator, as if that communicates anything of meaning. Like, what is the content that's being created? I'm a content creator, and the content I create is smiles. I do understand though, because if I was on one of these shows, I guess my job title would be like, aspiring YouTuber. Which does sound worse. Anyway, let's speed this up a bit. What will happen next? Will Heather be kissed? Will Colton do a sex? Find out on the most dramatic season in Bachelor history. A bunch of people get eliminated. Billy Eichner cameos and has this exchange.
Maybe you're the first gay bachelor and we don't even know.
Everyone is talking like they're robots, trying to replicate human feelings.
And it's a heavy burden to wear.
Hannah B and Kaylin are feuding.
I just hope we don't have to kill each other.
Demi and Courtney are feuding.
She is the cancer of the house.
Onyeka and Nicole are feuding.
Nicole's literally a psycho.
Colton does a kiss on Heather. I do not care. One contestant, Elise, leaves the show voluntarily. Then things start to get seriously dramatic when Colton gets wind that some of the remaining women are not there for the right reasons. This is a recurring thing on The Bachelor, that the women need to be there for the right reasons. They need to be there exclusively for romance, not for publicity or material gain. That's why they're not financially compensated for the time they take off work to film, and why they have to pay for their own expensive wardrobes, maybe go into debt, maybe quit their jobs. That's how you show your commitment to finding love. It's not that ABC is exploiting the contestants because not paying their TV personalities helps maximize profit. It's that if you're not willing to be exploited like that, you're clearly not ready for the wonders of romance. But anyway, Colton is already insecure after Elise leaves, and then Onyeka tells Colton that Elise told her that Nicole told Elise that she wasn't serious about getting engaged. But then even after Onyeka and Nicole are both eliminated, Sydney, Demi, and Katie all separately tell Colton that some of the remaining women still aren't there for the right reasons. Who could they be talking about? Could it be Hannah G? Hannah B? Tayshia tells Colton that they might have been talking about Kaylin and Cassie, who she says are not necessarily ready for a serious relationship. I hope you've been taking notes. This will be important later. Okay, so let's just get to the events surrounding the fence jump, because I'm getting a headache. We're in the final few episodes and it's time for Hometowns Week, when Colton goes all in on the patriarchy by asking the remaining women's dads for their blessing, in case he decides to propose. Most of the dads are like, okay dude, sure, whatever, but Cassie's dad says no.
That would be a premature blessing.
Then after Colton and the remaining 3 women, including Cassie, travel to Portugal, Cassie's dad shows up by surprise at her hotel room as some extremely dramatic music plays.
What are you doing here?
I was just in the neighborhood.
It's the kind of Bachelor twist that's so clearly contrived by the producers. Like, oh yeah, he just casually showed up in Portugal, knowing exactly where her hotel room was. And of course, he once again wants to share his concerns about the relationship.
To me, the commitment of marriage is second to your commitment to God.
At a dinner date that evening, Cassie tells Colton that her dad came to visit, and she tells him that she's leaving. So at one level, what seems to be going on here is the patriarchal intervention of Cassie's father. A reinforcement of the show's traditional gender dynamics, in which Cassie's relationship status must be negotiated by her suitor and her father. Isn't there someone you forgot to ask? But again, it's very clear that the producers set this up, so it becomes clear that Colton doesn't have the agency that the show has tried to suggest. The producers also have a say in who goes and who stays and who Colton goes on dates with. And after Cassie leaves, the artificiality of the show's narrative grows increasingly clear. Colton is upset and his feelings are directed at the show. He wants to escape the show. He shoves a camera, removes his mic, camera operators become visible in the shot, the camera work grows increasingly shaky. Colton is no longer cooperating with the show's narrative building. And that makes the narrative's artificiality very apparent. This Colton, upset and withdrawn from the cameras, seems to represent a more sincere self than his persona as the season's masculine hero. And then he jumps the fence.
He just jumped the fence.
Where is he? Nowhere to be found. Cliffhanger ending. On to next week's episode. Chris and the producers locate Colton walking down the side of a road, and Chris tries to calm him down.
What do you want? You want to be done with the whole thing? Yeah. Done.
We see here that Colton's continued participation with the show and its romantic narrative requires external maintenance. Again, this is not pure masculine agency, it's a produced fantasy. But pretty quickly, the production resumes. The following morning, Chris shows up for a chat with Colton, and Colton tells him that because of his love for Cassie, he's going to end his relationships with the other two contestants and ask Cassie for another chance. So he does that, and when he goes to talk to Cassie, she is very taken aback.
I'm so nervous right now. This is crazy. This is really crazy.
I'm still confused.
I don't understand what's happening. This is so weird. It's not normal.
My family's waiting for us in Spain. So, come here.
I'm so overwhelmed.
They play romantic music during this scene as if it's like a heartwarming interaction, but Cassie just seems uncomfortable, and like the amount of pressure on her. I mean, this is a show watched by millions, and she's just been selected as the romantic co-lead, and she doesn't want to be the villain who ruins the season, but she's just not that into him.
I feel how much Colton loves me, and I think I'm starting to kind of accept it.
She's starting to accept it. Great, but Colton seems convinced that since he has feelings for her, she's for sure gonna eventually develop feelings for him. He has this entitled confidence that surely she'll get there.
If things go well, Cassie could be in love with me at the end of this week.
Which is basically consistent with the show's whole men have agency, women don't thing, but it's just painful to watch. And then Chris Harrison's like,
will Cassie wind up being Colton's first after all?
Dude, can you stop? Can you please? Is this gonna stain? I'll be right back. After the conclusion of the show, Colton and Cassie briefly dated, after which Cassie filed a restraining order against Colton for stalking her, including putting a tracking device on her car, showing up to her parents' home, sending her obsessive text messages. In the framework of the show, that kind of abusive behavior could be explained as a result of Colton's passion. The same uncontrollable masculine passion that he was supposedly so impressive for containing as a virgin. But like, he's gay. Colton's heartbreak as he jumped the fence, his entitlement towards Cassie, and the abuse that he inflicted on her following the show are clearly not the result of heterosexual longing. They're not the result of passion or love or lust. He's not attracted to women. I think what watching the season suggests is that this suffering is the result of Colton and the producers trying to create a love story that fits the show's narrow model of romance. A model based around men's agency and women's passivity. This romantic failure isn't some kind of natural tragedy. It's not an inescapable truth about gender relations. It's imposed. And The Bachelor, with its wacky premise and producer manipulation, is sort of the perfect place to see that. It exposes the fact that its central straight fantasy is a production. It's a performance. It's ridiculous, and it hurts the people who are pushed into it. The Bachelor is anti-straight propaganda, and I love it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy my video Queering Mormon Marriage, which looks at a TLC reality TV special about Mormon men who are attracted to men but marry women. It's a wild ride, and thank you especially to my patrons for making this video possible. This one was adapted from a paper I wrote in college, and that paper, along with several other college papers, is now available at the $5 tier on my Patreon. And at the $500 tier, I'll be your husband. So why go on a reality dating show when you have me?